until 16th century, 17th century, people believed the earth was flat. And you know, Galileo condemned at the Roman Inquisition. If I say something, what I'm saying now, like something, maybe even Buddha nature. You know Buddha nature? Enlightened nature, we talk about. And also enlightenment. Enlightenment to what? Your own nature, Buddha nature. But what is the Buddha nature? That is the question. What I am somehow thinking is this: eventually what you call Buddha nature cannot but be explained in terms of the state of your brain. Einstein's brain, they analyzed and then they concluded there's nothing special. Of course they could not see what is inside of the brain. What about all those great philosophers in the West? Plato, Socrates, Aristotle, all those, David Hume, John Locke, Immanuel Kant, Heidegger, all those philosophers, they don't talk about the Buddha nature. They don't. This Buddha nature is something only Buddhism, in Buddhism we are talking about. Or of course in Indian philosophy, like Hindu tradition, talk about the Brahman, Atman. What is this Atman? Buddha said already, there's no Atman. Atman is the eternal self. Neither born nor annihilated, there's the Atman. The Buddha said, no, there's no such a thing. Anatta in Pali. Sanskrit, anatman, no self. And then what is a human being? Human being is nothing but the 5 aggregates. Body, which is made of 4 grades: earth, air, water, fire. And in the mental state, you have feelings, perceptions, and impulses, mental functions. In Buddhism, they talk about the 49 elements of the mental functions, 49 out of 75 elements, and which are the ultimate building block of the whole universe in the early everything real school, like that. And then consciousness. Those are called the 5 aggregates. If you take these 5 aggregates away, nothing is left. So there's a problem, and the problem was, what is it that transmigrates? What is it that transmigrates? Talking about if you accumulate evil karma, then you will be born in a bad place, and you will be born with a very poor health and short-lived life, and so on. What is it? And there is no satisfactory answer. According to Radhakrishnan, the president of India after 1945, in his book, source book in Indian philosophy, introduction to the chapter on Buddhism, he complains or criticizes like this: the idea of rebirth, metempsychosis, cycle of birth and death was not new with the Buddha. The idea was already in the Dravidians, indigenous to India before the white Aryans invaded India, like 2,000 to 500 years BC. And those dark-skinned Dravidians had the belief that there's a cycle of birth and death going through. And according to Radhakrishnan, Shakyamuni Buddha simply accepted that without criticism. That's what you read. Of course, Radhakrishnan has a bias. He is a Hindu philosopher mainly. Well, how could we explain the cycle of birth and death? What is it? Remember when they gave me some anesthesia? I was out, completely out, nothing. And if they gave me that for the rest of my life, I will be in that coma the rest of my life. So I told you several times my hypothesis. Actually, I gave up. I came up with this idea in 1981 when I was asked to write an article on Buddhism, WonBuddhism and science. Science. Remember, the word science means knowledge. Knowledge. Coming from Latin word scientia, meaning knowledge. Knowledge and religion are enemies. The more you know about the truth about the world, religious teachings become somehow destroyed. Even though today, 2 billion, what is called 2 billion Christians, over 2 billion Christians, 1 billion Muslims, out of 6 billion people, they believe in a personal God out there. It will take a long, long time. But where could that be? The idea of a personal God out there was produced during the primitive age. See? When they thought the earth was flat, the heaven is up there, and the hell is down there. That kind of primitive thought survived for 20 centuries. It's still going on. Where could it be? Where could the kingdom of God be? The world of souls. What is the soul? Now, if human consciousness, our mind, all mental states cannot exist without your brain, then all those teachings so far, East and West, for 2,000, 2,500 years will be proven false. J.J. Smart of Australia, he wrote an article in the Encyclopedia of Philosophy, the question, religion and science. And he said, well, science and religion, so far it's like enemies. However, Buddhism and some form of Hinduism will be compatible with the development of science, which explains everything in the world in terms of matter. Of course, what do you mean by matter? Neurons. If you analyze neurons in your brain, you will end up with electrons and protons and so on and so on. So there are a lot of things, to be analyzed and then studied. But at this point, he said, J.J. Smart said that Christianity and science cannot stand each other together. But Buddhism and some form of Hinduism